Hey guys, this is Licious Kid from ClimaxCombo, and we're back with another Leaks of the Week. This week we're going to continue off with Dog Days and Symphogear, and we only have 4 days this week because the 3rd of November was a holiday, so they missed out on a card of the day. So only 4 days, however I think today is a really good week, especially for Symphogear. If you guys are interested in Symphogear, I think today is a really good week because they show off a lot of cards that show how the set is going to be played. So I think that's all I have to say. So why don't we get started? So 105KR, Hero King, Adele, Hero and Weapon. This is a chick, right? Even though it's a king and the Adele's like a dude's name. It's a chick, right? I mean, it totally looks like a chick. Is it something like Saber from Fate Stay Night where it's like a girl as the king? Oh well, I don't know. I'm going to refer to this character as a girl. So at the beginning of your Encore phase, when you have the climax name, the story of the hero and princess, placed on your climax zone and this card's in a center stage, you may select another character you control and send it to the waiting room. If you do, search your deck for a character that shares one or more traits of the characters that you sent to your waiting room, show it to your opponent, add it to your hand, then shuffle your deck. The story of the hero and princess is a climax common and is a yellow stock 1 soul. So Adele, I think it's an okay card. I think it's a fairly decent climax combo. Of course, the idea behind this climax combo is that at the beginning of your encore phase, when you select when you select another character and send it to the waiting room, you should of course send a character that's already in reverse, because as you guys all know, a character that's in reverse at the end of encore phase will be sent to the waiting room. So why not send a character that's in reverse that's going to be sent to the waiting room anyways? Why not send it for the cost of Hero King Adele, so that way your dying character will get you benefits, where in most cases the dying character doesn't get you benefits when it dies. So with Hero King Adele, I'll of course send a reverse character from your field to the waiting room, and then you get to search for another character that shares the same trait, show it to your opponent, add it to your hand, then shuffle your deck. Not too bad. You break even, and it combos with a stock 1 soul. Stock 1 soul not too shabby itself. So a fairly decent climax combo. You break even, you get to search your deck. The only problem is it has to share one or more traits. In this set, there's a lot of different traits. What have we seen so far? We've seen, I think, Animal, Hero, Weapon, Royal, Music. I'm sure there's other traits that we're forgetting, but there's quite a lot of traits. Royalty, I don't know if I mentioned that. So there's Royalty as well. So with so many different traits, there might be some problems, because like if you send off like a hero character, you might not be able to grab like a royalty character or something or a music character. But a lot of the good traits are what in hero and in heroes, weapon, and royalty. So I'm sure if you send off like a hero character, you could search out enough targets in your deck to make this climax combo live. So I think it's fairly decent, and also in the mid to late stages of the game, if you're afraid of like on reverse abilities like clock shoots or double attacking that's dependent on reversing, you can of course send a character that's in rest to the waiting room, so that way you can try to like make it so that there's no targets on your field, or just make it so that there's less targets on your field, so that your opponent can't get on reversibility. So I think that's like the only situation where I would send a resting character to the waiting room for her cost, in the scenario in which I'm scared that my opponent might get really powerful on attack abilities off or on reverse abilities off. So I think that is also kind of nice utility as well. So early stages you can like try to get benefits, and mid to late, or I would say late stage, you can still get benefits off of it, but not as much by sending a resting character. But if you send a rested character and you dodge an on reverse ability, then that's really good too. So I think this climax combo is fairly decent. It has a decent amount of search and it has a decent amount of utility, both early, mid, and late stages of the game. So I like it a lot. I'm not too sure if it's going to be ramped, because in yellow we saw the other wind trigger climax combo that we saw I think like 2 weeks ago with the what's her name, Rebecca. That one combos with the wind trigger, and that's a fairly decent climax combo. But if you're running like 4 of that wind trigger, I'm not too sure if people are going to be running 4 of the stock 1 soul in conjunction with like the 4 wind triggers. I'm not too sure if people are going to do that. I don't think this is like strong enough to warrant like that climax combo. I'm not too sure if Dog Days already has a decent climax combos in the older sets, but I just don't feel like this is strong enough to be used in a yellow Dog Days deck, considering that they already have considering they have a pretty decent wind trigger climax combo with the level 3. People might opt to run like a plus climax comp or a plus climax trigger just because like running 4 wind and 4 2 souls is kind of a bit much. So I don't know. We'll have to see. Maybe people will run like the 4 wind trigger, like the full gold bar combos like that we saw last week. I think people will more opt for that. I really don't think there's enough space or people would want to use this as their other climax combo or like as a climax combo in their deck. I don't know. It's just a feeling I have, but we'll see. If you guys are Dog Days players, would you guys be running this? I'm not too sure, but like I said, I just have a feeling it's not going to be used. But I definitely think it's playable and it's alright. I kind of like it. Anyways, let's go on to Symphogear. Very exciting. 329k double R green. Arriving at an answer Kirika. This one synergizes with this card, and of course, this card synergizes with this 2k1. So we'll go over everything first. Music and weapon. She has a continuous ability of if you have 6 or more climaxes in your raiding room, this card loses 1 level in your hand. Another continuous ability per every each arriving at an answer Shirabe you control, she gets plus 1k. Another ability when she's played from hand to stage, draw 2, ditch 1. Climax combos with the 2k1. When the battling character is placed to reverse and you have the 2k1, you can place that character to his owner's clock. So clock shoot. Of course, answering at an answer Shirabe is this next one. So 3225 double R, music and weapon. When you control and arriving at an answer Kirika, this card loses 1 level in your hand. She is an assist, so very exciting. Characters with the trait music in front of this card gain plus 2k power, and the following ability of when the battling character is placed to reverse, you may place that character to its owner's memory. And lastly, when she's played from hand to stage, heal. And 2k1 is a climax rare, no surprise. So I'm not too sure how to explain these. I think there's a lot to talk about with these pair of cards. And I think it's a lot to explain, but I think I'll try to do my best. But to summarize it, I don't really like this. I don't really like this duo, to be honest. I think there's better options. So anyways, let's start off with Kirika because I think Kirika is kind of, I don't know, they're both really important. But anyways, we'll start with Kirika. So first of all, Kirika is extremely weak, only sitting at 9k, super weak, of course. But of course, the idea behind this is that when you play Kirika, you play Shirabe. That way, Kirika actually hits pretty good power, because with one Shirabe on the field, she becomes a 3-2-10k. And then with the plus 2k in front that Shirabe offers, then she'll be a 3-2-12k. So very strong at level 3, or at level 2, I should say. But if you don't play Kirika along with Shirabe, then Kirika is really weak. She's only 9k. So if you want to play Kirika early, then you're kind of forced to play Shiriba in conjunction with her. Even if you don't want to play Kirika early, like if you don't want to play Kirika at level 2, you want to play her at level 3, even at level 3, she's even weaker. So your Bushiroad is kind of forcing you to play Kirika along with Shirabe, just because Kirika is just too weak without Shirabe. Like, if you had Kirika and a typical level assist, she'll be a 3-2-10-5. That's still really weak for level 3 on reverse clock shooters. You know, if your opponent has like a 3 level 3s on their field, which is very likely to happen because, you know, your opponent's level 3, then she'll most likely not clock kick anything. So I think when you play Kirika, you have to at least play 1 or 2 Shirabes in conjunction with Kirika, or else Kirika is just way too weak at level 2 and at level 3. And that's really stock intensive, because let's say you do play Kirika at level 2, then that's 2 stock, and then you have to play Shirabe, and that's 4 stock. So that's 4 stock total. Quite a lot of stock, especially at level 2. And of course, you can't, and it really kills your compress, and you're going to refresh soon when you play these two together, because you need to have 6 or more climaxes in your waiting room when you play the Kirika. So that means, you know, you only have 2 climaxes left in deck, or somewhere maybe in your hand or in your stock. That means you're going to refresh fairly soon, and so because you have to play 4 stock before you refresh, you do kill your compress. Also, keep in mind Shirabe does heal, and because she heals, she does also kill your compress by 1 more card. So this combo really does kill your compress if you decide to use it at level 2. But if you do get it at level 2, I think there are quite some benefits to it. The fact is that Kirika is 12k, assuming Shirabe is behind her, which you should definitely keep her behind, because, you know, that way Kirika lives. Very strong at 12k, and you can start clock kicking at no cost, starting at level 2 with the 2k1, which is very scary. Definitely not as good at level 3, but the more damage you can push through your opponent, the better, especially in today's meta, game ending is very important. So I think that's pretty good. Also, I don't believe Symphogear had a clock kicker, so this I believe is their first clock kicker. But to be honest, I think like she's still susceptible to anti-change, still susceptible to bounce. I don't know. I think it's a little too much work. The set has a plethora of early level 3s that come out at level 2, both in the first and second booster. So I don't think they were really missing an early drop level 2 or early drop level 3 at level 2. I think this one's a little too much work and a little too much resources. It's like 4 stock and then you heal and then you lose 1 compress. That's like whatever. A little spoiler alert, at Friday we're going to see another level 3 for Symphogear that can come out at level 2. I think if you really wanted an early drop level 3 at level 2, I think the one that at Friday is going to be better. So that Friday card also makes my opinion on this card not as good. I think Fridays is way superior as an early drop level 3 at level 2. Just my personal opinion. So not really. I don't really like this. Like I said, one really kills your compress if you want to play it at level 2. 2, you have to play the 2 together or you have to play Kirika with Shirabe because Kirika is just way too weak. So you kind of have to play Kirika with Shirabe. 3, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not too sure how good green is as a color. I see like a lot of red, blue, yellow Symphogears. From what I remember, like I said in the previous videos, I'm not a Symphogear expert, but I really don't see that much green in Symphogear. So I'm not too sure how strong green is as a color. So, and I think that's another reason why I don't like this as well. I haven't seen that many impressive green cards. So another reason why I don't like this. So overall, those are like my 3 reasons why. Too weak, too much work, and I don't think green's a very good color. But let's go over Shirabe. Shirabe is okay. First of all, she's 2-5, and that's a huge downside. She can die to Wingslayer. If you need like 2 500 globals or something to keep her alive, and that's assuming the 500 globals will survive Wingslayer. Not that relevant nowadays, but you know, just something to keep in mind. She can get Wingslayer. And if you're playing up against this Gaia, and if they're like at 2-6, and you're at level 3, and you have your Shirabe, and then they slap down Wingslayer, oh man, that really sucks. But anyways, just keep in mind this can die to Wingslayer, which is a huge bummer. I wish it was at least 3k or 3-5. I mean, if she was at least 3k, she might have a chance of surviving if you have a 500 global or like a 1k global. And the other assist survives. I don't know. It's just really. I think that's really stupid. Anyways, Kirika, her assist is. I don't think it's her assist is the greatest either. Like all the characters in front of her get 2k, yes, which is a lot. But then the extra benefit that they also get isn't that great. I mean, all you get is shoot your opponent's character to memory. Not the best ability to spam because, like I said, and a couple other ones, like when I talked about the U level 3 from Charlotte, if you keep sending your opponent's characters to memory, then you increase their compress. So you don't really want to be spamming this ability. At most, you're probably going to be using this ability maybe once or twice. It's really situational. Just like, depending on what your opponent's playing, like if they don't have, like, if you know your opponent's build isn't running that much level 3 of that kind, like for Angel Beats, the level 3 Yuripe, most players run 2 max. If you can't send 1 or 2 off in memory, then that's really good because then you lose access to it. Also, you know, with Angel Beats, you can anti-encore. So most of the time you'll be using this to deny encore or to like send level 3 that you know your opponent's not running much copies of to the memory. That way they lose access to it. I would say the level 3 Yuripe is a pretty good example. I personally run only 2. And like if you send, and if like one's in my stock and then you kill the one on my field, then that's pretty shitty for me. So I think that's like one good example. Another one's a level 3 Tachibana, of course, limited in all Nisekoi builds. You can send her off to the memory, and then sucks pretty bad for the Nisekoi player. Also, you can send off, what else is there? Index. Index is really popular and powerful right now. A lot of Index builds choose to run the Misakuro for very good reasons. If you send both of those to the memory, then it can be really. I mean, it sucks for them, but I mean, Index typically wins off just healing forever. So, but you can send off like the Misakuro. So I think those are like the only real situations I'll use this effect. I mean, it's like against like other decks, I don't really care. Like if I'm playing against, I don't know, Girlfriend Beta, it's like I don't really care about sending the things to memory. Or not Girlfriend Beta, or maybe like Two Love for Darkness, or I don't know. Love Live. Not much I would want to shoot to memory, so it's not that great. Also, she heals. I think it's cool, like a assist that heals. We haven't seen that yet. I think that's really awesome and interesting, but I just don't think it's very good on on paper, because healers you just want to constantly play and flood, and so that way you can just keep healing and healing and healing. You can't really do that with an assist because most of the time you only play what, one or two level 3 assists at most, right? You play one, you always play one at least, but playing two in the back row can be a little iffy because um, you might want to have a brainstorm in conjunction with your level 3 assist. That way, because having access to brainstorm all the time is really good. I typically like a level 3 assist and a brainstorm in the back. Having two level 3 assists is good in some situations, but like I said, at most you're only gonna play like two level 3 assists in the back, and that's it, and that's all the healing you're gonna get out of it. So you have to, like, if you're running this, you have to run like her and like other healers in conjunction with her. To be honest, I just don't really like it. I think healers are really good so that you can just keep spamming them and just like you play them, they heal, they have like a small little extra benefit, and if they die, that's no big deal because next turn you can just salvage it, or if you refresh, you can search them out. I think that's what's really good about level 3 healers. A prime example I would say is like the level 3 Asuna from the first SAO booster. Um, she heals on play. She's 10k. That's like pretty okay, and she has a pretty decent on attack ability that can win you games. If she dies, no big deal. You can salvage her with Silico, or if you like refresh, then you can like search her out with the 1-0 Asuna party combo party, or you can use the new search brainstorm. So you can't really do Shirabe. You play her once, and like that's it. Like you get one heal out of it. Like if you want to heal more, you gotta play other level 3s that heal. If you're gonna play multiple Shirabes, that's okay, but that's not that great. So you can't really spam Shirabe like you can with the other level 3 beaters, and I think that makes her not that awesome. I would have preferred if these two were switched, to be honest. I wish Kirika draw 2 ditched 1, and I wish Shirabe healed. So uh, I wish I'm sorry, I wish Kirika healed, and I wish Shirabe draw 2 ditched 1. I personally think that would have been better, but who knows? I just don't think it'll be that good. But who knows? Maybe when it actually comes out, this will actually be really good. But right now, I don't think a level 3 assist that heals is all that great. Um, but in the end, Shirabe is okay. I mean, you don't have to run her in conjunction with Kirika. Like, you could just not run Kirika at all, and you could just run Shirabe as a standalone level 3 assist. I don't think that would be a bad idea, because she still heals, which is awesome at level 3, and she does still send things to your opponent's memory, which can be good in some matchups, and also, she gives a whopping 2k power in front, which is a very high amount of power. So, I don't think Shirabe is I don't think Shirabe is bad. There's just a couple downsides to it. I don't think she's as awesome as something like Shiroe from Log Horizon, or um yeah, I think Shiroe is probably the best level 3 assist in Weiss right now. So I don't think she's as good as like something like that. For level 3 assist, I don't think she's all that great. But she is still a level 3 assist, and that's pretty good. But from what I remember, Symphogear is a little stock intensive, and Shirabe being 2 stock, they might not be able to get it to work. So Shirabe is okay. I'm not too sure if people are going to be running her, but we'll have to see. But overall, I'm not a fan of these two. I really... Kirika, I'm not feeling Kirika. I personally think she's not that great. So if you guys like these two, I'm sorry. I could be totally wrong. I don't know the rest of the set, or I could just be wrong. So, hopefully this turns out to be good, but I honestly don't think it's that great. I think you could be running better things. I think you could be running like better game enders. I think you could be running better early drop level 3s at level 2, and I think you could be spending your stock on better resources, and I think there'll be better climax combos. Like right now, you already have the flare trigger, the flare trigger that combos with the 1-0 Hibiki. That's already like a 3 or 4 of guaranteed. So are you gonna be using the rest of your climax combos on a okay clock kicker? Who knows? We'll see. Later down the line, we'll see other really good climax combos. So I don't think this climax combo is good enough as well. So another reason why I don't like this. But so that's my. I'll leave it at that. I've probably talked. How long is this video? 19 minutes. So I've been talking about this card for like 15 minutes now, and I'll just leave it at that. I don't like it. I think it's too much work, and it's too stock intensive, and it's not. It's just not good enough. Okay, on to Tuesday. So we got more dock days. 105k common, skilled passerby Isuka, animal, and smithing. So another weird trait, smithing. Man, how many characters are there in Dog Days? Every week we see a new character. Anyways, he has a recollection of when this card reverses its opponent in battle and you have Reminiscence Fee in your memory, you may place that battling character to the top of its owner's deck. I'll go over the next card first, and then I'll talk about Reminiscence Fee. So we have this 1045 uncommon skilled passive by Hina, weapon, and animal. Recollection, when you have a Reminiscence Fee in your memory, this card gains plus 2k power. For some reason, they didn't show the Reminiscence Fee in conjunction with these two. They show it on Wednesday, and I think it's really important to go over this card first, because if Reminiscence Fee sucks, there's no real point in playing the other two, am I right? So Reminiscence Fee, we're going to cheat, and we're going to go ahead a day. So 00500R, Reminiscence Fee, of course, animal and royalty. When this card is played from hand to stage, you may mill top 3 cards of your deck to the waiting room. Has another ability, when this card reverses in battle, you can pay cost, which is pay 1, discard a card, send it to memory. If you do, search your deck for up to 1 animal or hero character, show it to your opponent, add it to your hand, then shuffle your deck. So Reminiscence Fee, I think is an excellent card. She's animal and royalty, and we've seen that those two traits are pretty good. So 2 solid traits. She has the whole on-play mill 3. Like I said many times in Leaks of the Week now, on-play mill 3 I think is a very excellent ability, can definitely help you compress, and if you're in a tight spot, these on-play mill 3s are just fantastic way to burn through your deck very fast. So she has the excellent on-play mill 3 ability, and I think that alone is really good. But her second ability is also really good. She can send herself to memory, and when she does, you get some pretty good benefits out of it when she dies, or when she's placed to reverse, which is fairly easy because she has the lowest power possible in Weiss Schwarz. So on reverse, you pay 1 discard, send her to memory, search for an animal or hero. We've seen a lot of good animal and hero cards, so she should be able to grab a lot of good cards. And then you shuffle your deck. So you can compress by sending her to memory. She has the on-play mill 3, and when she goes to memory, you get some cards become active, like Isuka and Hina, and these other cards I'll talk about in the next day. So I think Fee is really awesome. Super awesome. Just the on-play mill 3, good traits, and a really good way to send it to memory, and you get a lot of benefits when you do send it to memory. So overall, I think Reminiscence Fee is excellent card. And because she's so good, I think the playability of these other cards as Synergizer go up really high as well. So let's talk about Isuka first, since he's first up. Isuka, I'm not really feeling. He's only 105k, and he has to reverse an opponent's character, and when he does, he sends it to the top of the owner's deck. I think it's a little too much work. He's only 5k, and all you get out of it is you send it to the top of his owner's deck. That's cool. You know, you could push for more damage, and if you're running, and your opponent knows that like the Dog Days player is running it, then they have to be careful at level 3. They can't just leave like weak level 0s in the front, because Isuka might top deck it for no cost, and then you know, they are more susceptible to taking damage. So I'm not really feeling this card, but I don't think it's too bad just because it's costless. If your opponent, it keeps your opponents on their toes in the mid to late stages of the game. So Isuka, I personally don't like it, but I don't think it's like unplayable. You can definitely, if you're running the Reminiscence Fee, you could run 1 or 2. I would recommend only 1 Isuka. You can go 2 max. I really wouldn't recommend any more than 2 Isukas. But personally, not my cup of tea. But I think it's playable. If you want to run 1 or 2, I don't think that's too bad. Now, however, Hina though, I think Hina is an excellent card. 1045 uncommon, and she gets 2k Reminiscence Fees in the memory. And I'm sure we've all played against or with Nisekoi by now. And many Nisekoi builds run the 1045 Chitoge that gets plus 1k when you have a Pendant of Promise in memory. So the Chitoge is a 1065, very similar to this. That Chitoge is really good. Having 1 pendant in memory is really easy to fulfill, and all your Chitoges becoming 1065 just by having that is very good. I love that Chitoge because it's really good and it's Chitoge. So I don't think this one will be an exception. Really good. I mean, she's in red as well, so that's also really good. So she's in red. You know, just having 1 Reminiscence Fee in memory gives her this 1065. Really good, just like Chitoge, so I think it'll be really good just like Chitoge as well. And she's only uncommon, while Chitoge was an R. So for an uncommon, you definitely can't complain. If you're running 3 or 4, if you're running this Reminiscence Fee card, I highly recommend running Hina as your main 1-0 beater of choice, because it's just that awesome. So very good. I'm a little jealous that this is uncommon and Nisekoi's was R. Anyways, can't complain. Let's go on. 3, 2, 11k, and more double R's. Hibiki, magic words, Hibiki. Music trait, of course. When this card is played from hand to stage, you can heal. When this card declares an attack with Glorious Break, right here. If all your music so when it attacks with the Glorious Break, all your music characters get plus 2k, and this card, so keep in mind this card gains the following ability until the end of the turn, where this ability can only be activated once per turn. When the damage of this card is cancelled, deal 1. And lastly, it has Recollection, which isn't a good one. Recollection, during the start of your Encore phase, if you have no Ignite modules in your memory, place this card to your waiting room. Glorious Break is a Climax Common. Climax Common? What? That's crazy. I'd imagine it'd be a Climax Rare. Anyways, that's good. Ignite Module 1/1, uncommon. So when you play this event, you can look at the top 4 cards of your deck, choose one music character amongst them, add it to your hand, discard the remaining cards, then choose one character, gets plus 2k until the end of the turn, then you place this card to memory. Does this card sound familiar? To me it does. It's freaking Pendant of Promise for Nisekoi, the yellow one. Anyways, Hibiki, I think she's a fairly solid card. First of all, she's 11k. That is quite surprising. A huge amount of power, or much higher than the normal base amount. Of course, the base amount for level 3s, as we all know, is 10k. However, she's 11k, and she's has some pretty awesome abilities. She heals, which is really good. I think the other healer for Symphogear was the first Hibiki from the first booster that also comboed with a Wind Trigger. I think it was the Gungnir or something. However, that Climax combo wasn't so good. On attack, she gained plus 15, and I believe she searched your deck for a music character. I mean, that's an okay Climax combo, but I think that was like what 3 years ago. 3 years ago, searching your deck for a music character wasn't too shabby. But nowadays, we want to start killing the people. We just gotta go in and kill them. So Hibiki does that. Her Climax combo I think is a lot better than the first Hibiki from way back when, because all your characters get plus 2k. Essentially 3k, because when she attacks, she gets the 2k, and then the 1k one soul gives the extra 1k. So essentially a 3k boost, and it can't go much higher with multiple Hibikis, which it wouldn't be too hard to fulfill. But do keep in mind, only Hibiki gets the burn on cancel. A lot of people were getting mixed up with how all your characters get the burn on cancel. Like I've seen a lot of people like being like, "Oh my god, OP! All your characters get burn on cancel." And then my friend at school was like, "Hey, they all get burn on cancel." I was like, "No, they don't, dude. Like only Hibiki gets burn on cancel." So can be a little misleading, but do keep in mind only Hibiki gets to burn on cancel. If they all got burn on cancel, this would be the best card ever. But no, only Hibiki does. But still, I don't think it's too bad. Of course, her having some pretty awesome abilities, her healing, her being 11k, her having a pretty good Climax combo, and the fact, or all of those, of course, she must have a demerit. I guess she must have a demerit. I think I would have preferred her being 3 to 10k, and just having these first two abilities and not having this Recollection ability. If she was only 10k, I don't think she would have this Recollection ability, but she does. What can you do? This is kind of the theme of the level 3s in Symphogear. Besides the green cards, like we'll see, the red and the blue one is also focused on this Ignite module. So this is kind of the theme of Symphogear, very similar to Nisekoi, in the fact that they're event-based and Recollection event-based, which is not too surprising because the old Symphogear sets were also based off events, like the 2 to 3 changes. They were like the first event-based change heavy deck in Weiss Schwarz, and I thought that was really interesting, but it wasn't really good enough. So I guess Bushiroad wants to keep the theme of them being dependent on events, but I think they wanted to stray from what they did in the past, where it was like event-based changes, a little too stock intensive and a little too much work. So I think this is a good way to keep the theme of being event-based, but also making it so it's more playable. And to do that, I guess they just took the idea from Nisekoi and implemented it into Symphogear. Not a bad idea. It's a little lame. It's not really original, because they're just kind of copying Nisekoi. But still, I don't think it's too bad, and I think it'll still be pretty fun. Spoiler alert, there's multiple Ignite modules, so it's exactly like Nisekoi. So here's the yellow one, here's the blue one, and next week we'll see the red one. So it's like Nisekoi. There's multiple Pendant of Promises, and then this one there's multiple Ignite modules. However, this one if you want to compare this to Nisekoi, this one only needs one Ignite module, in memory for her to live, unlike the ones in Nisekoi where you know, you needed 2 in memory, like Tachibana needed 2 and Kosaki needed 2. However, in Symphogear, it seems like they only need 1 Ignite module in the memory for them to gain their benefits. So, pretty good. So overall, I think Hibiki is good. A little annoying, you need to have the Ignite module in your memory. But we'll see. Well, this Ignite module is not too bad, and we'll see other Ignite modules down the line. And they're not too bad either, so not too shabby of a card. It has my seal of approval. I think it's pretty good. I think this will probably be the yellow healer. I think this will probably be the new healer of choice for Symphogear, especially if you're running yellow. It's a really solid healer. It heals 11k, and a fairly decent climax combo. So I think it's definitely playable, and I think it's really good. And yeah, I think I'll just leave it at that. I've talked about Hibiki long enough. The Ignite module, the yellow Ignite module, it's not too bad. I think the one in Nisekoi is a little better just because you have a little more utility out of it. But this one's not too bad either. You play the yellow Ignite module, you look at top 4, you choose a music character, and as we all know, every character in this set is music. Well, I should say 90% of the cards in this set is music because there's like Alchemy trait and Noise trait. So, but this one, you add a music to your hand, look at top 4. Not as good as searching your whole deck like the Nisekoi one, but this one is still fairly good. Looking at top 4, adding a music, not too bad. And then you give one of your characters plus 2k power, then you send it to memory. The 2k power is actually pretty important in this set because as we saw last week with the 1-0 Hibiki, that flare combo with the flare trigger, that one does need to reverse its opponent character to get the search ability off. So with the climax combo and with the benefit of with the power that you can give with the Ignite module, the power that the Ignite module gives really helps the level 1 game out by giving the Hibikis extra power so that way they can get their unreverse abilities and that way you can successfully search. So not too bad of an event. I think it's a lot better because the 1-0 Hibiki exists from last week. So overall, a fairly solid event and definitely playable. So overall, yeah, or Wednesday I should say, showed off like the idea behind Symphogear, the idea that they need these Ignite modules to work, and I think that's really cool. Anyways, on to Thursday. 105k uncommon Hero Princess Fee, Animal and Royalty. When displayed from hand to stage, this card gains power plus X until the end of the turn, where X is the number of animal or hero characters you control by 500. So with a full field, you should be 1075 before assist, and it shouldn't be too bad hitting this condition. Like I said, not every character is animal or hero, but it should be easy enough. A lot of good cards are animal or hero, so definitely a solid card. We've seen cards like this time and time again, and they're fairly solid. Definitely very playable. So really good addition to a really good addition to Dog Days. Next up, we have this other interesting card, 2/1, 1500 common, Gun of the Hero Princess Adele. Hero Princess? I thought she was the Hero Prince. Or the Hero King. What? Anyways, Hero and Weapon. So this is a fairly interesting backup. When you use this card, first of all, it's a 3k backup. Pay 1 stock 3k, your typical backup. But when you use this card's backup, you may pay cost, which is place 1 reminiscence fee in your memory to your waiting room if you do all your characters. If you do all your animal and hero characters gain hand encore. Fairly interesting. She's a 3k backup, which is your standard backup. A lot better than the 2/5 backups. Like usually when backups have an extra ability, they are only 2/5. So it's a little interesting how this is 3k. So I thought that was really interesting. Just like a backup with an additional ability, but it's still 3k. Haven't seen that too often. But this one's only 3k. Or this one's 3k, which is cool. And when you use this backup, you send 1 reminiscence fee in your memory to the waiting room, and then all your animal and hero characters gain hand encore. I don't think that's too bad. Normally, you don't want to send a reminiscence fee in your memory to the waiting room, but I think in some situations it can be pretty clutch. Especially as we've seen, like these 2 cards, you only need 1 reminiscence fee in your memory for your characters to go live. And that's pretty easy to do. So if you have multiple reminiscence fee in your memory, maybe activating 1 hero, Gun of the Hero Princess Adele wouldn't be too bad because, like I said, you only need 1 in memory. If you have like 3 in memory, why not send one of the ones in memory to your waiting room to give all your characters hand encore. You know, if you're running low on stock, or if you just really want to keep the characters on your field alive, you can just use the 3k backup. Sending off one of your Reminiscence Fee in the memory to the waiting room really sucks. It kills your compress, and you have to send it back to memory. But I don't think it's too bad. It can be really clutch in some situations. And if you don't want to use the backup, she's still a 3k backup in itself. So I think that's also really good. So a standard backup with somewhat clutch situational secondary ability, I think it's really good, or I think it's interesting, and it's only a common, so I don't think you can complain. So I think it's an interesting tech card you can run, and I think it's totally playable. So I like it. I think it's really good. Next up, another good backup for Dog Days: 2/1, 2/5 common, combat readiness Rico, animal, and science. First of all, this one's a 2/5 backup, and it's an anti-change backup. So when you use this backup, pay 3 anti-change. I'm not going to explain anti-change because we should all know it by now. So pay 3 anti-change. Anti-change, really good. If your set has anti-change, you should probably be running 1 or 2 of these because so many sets have level 3s that come out at level 2 and start smacking you. Having an anti-change ready to stop that is always really good. So definitely, and pretty sure Dog Days didn't have an anti-change before, so them gaining an anti-change is really good. So I would highly recommend running 1 or 2 of these in your Dog Days deck, and it should be really good. We already talked about Reminiscence V, very excellent card. Next up, we got this guy, 00500 uncommon, Demon King Valeri, animal and royalty. There's a 500 front assist, and has a recollection ability of when there's a Reminiscence Fee in your memory. This card gains the following ability. Put this character to rest. If you do, choose one of your characters to get plus 1k until the end of the turn. As a standalone card, I think this card is fairly solid, especially if you're running the Reminiscence Fee. I think the Demon King Valeri is really good because it's a 500 in front assist, and also you can tap him to give a 1k boost, assuming you have a Fee in memory, which is easy enough to do. So definitely gives a lot of power. 500 in front and tap give 1k, really good. But as we saw in yellow, I think like 2 weeks ago or 1 week ago now, we saw the Covert and the Rebecca. The level 3 Rebecca needs that level 0 Covert, I think is her name. I really don't remember her name. But the level 3 Rebecca needed the level 0 assist in your clock to come out at level 2. And the level 0 assist that synergizes with the level 3 was a pretty solid card. It was a 500 global, and it had the shift ability. If you're running yellow, I think the new level 3 Rebecca is really good. And if you're running the Rebecca, then you should be running the level 0 assist in conjunction with the Rebecca to make the Rebecca all that much better. So I think because they have the other level 0 assist that synergizes with the level 3 Rebecca, I don't think there's enough space for Demon King Valeri, because if you're running 2 to 4 of that level 0 assist that synergizes with Rebecca, then are you going to have more space for level 0 assists in your level 0 lineup? You could, possibly. But, I think you're just committing too much space to assists at that point. So I think the level 0 assist that combos with the Rebecca wins out in the end as your level 0 of choice. And I think a couple weeks ago we saw the level 0 Milhi. That is also a really good brainstorm, and that I believe that one was a pay 1 tap 2 brainstorm. And if you're tapping 2 to brainstorm, you can't really use Valeri. So I think in the end, because I think as a standalone card, Valeri is really good. But I think in the set, the fact that like Milhi needs 2 to brainstorm, tap 2 to brainstorm, and the fact that there's another really good assist that synergizes with the level 3, I think this card is a bit overshined, and so a little unfortunate. I think it's definitely solid and playable, but like I said, I think a little overshined and not enough space for this guy. So yeah, I'll leave it at that. But he's only uncommon, so you can't complain. If you're not running the level 3 Rebecca, then you can totally run this guy if you're running the Fees. But why wouldn't you run the Rebecca? Anyways, let's go on to more Symphogear. 00500R, Seaside Training, Hibiki, and Elf 9. Seaside Training, they are not training. They're just having a good time at the beach. This character's head's a little too big, no? Doesn't that look a little awkward? I don't know, that's just me. Anyways, Alchemy and Music. Your other character in the middle border gains 500 power, and it has a pay 1 ability where you can pay 1. When it's played from hand to stage, you can pay cost. If you do, choose one Ignite module in your waiting room and return it to your hand. So pay 1 bond for the Ignite module, essentially. This card, really good, as we've seen. Ignite module seems to be a key part of the new set, seems to be the focus, and the level 3s are highly dependent on the Ignite modules. So the fact that there's a card that can get you the Ignite modules is really good. So this, he began at Elf 9, very good card. Just because of how the new set works. The pay 1 bond for the Ignite module, that alone makes this card extremely playable, but it also has a nifty little ability of giving your center character plus 500 power. So overall, a really solid card. I highly recommend running 2 to 3 of these in your Symphogear decks, assuming you're running the Ignite module, but I assume you would be because the new card synergizes with the Ignite module, so I would say this is probably going to be staple. Probably you should run 2 to 3 of these to keep your deck a bit more consistent. Why couldn't Nisekoi get a card like this? You know, the level 0 Daku was like a really good way to get the Pendant of Promises, and then he had to get banned, and so we all had to pay a lot of money for the Chibi Onodera Kosakis, or the Chibi Kosakis, Chitoge, and Tachibanas. So much money. If only we had a card like this in the actual booster that wasn't Raku, then I wouldn't have to spend so much money. But, oh well, what can you do? So really good. Hopefully this doesn't get banned like in Nisekoi. But I doubt Symphogear is going to be strong as Nisekoi. Anyways, that's just me crying. Let's go on. 103KR Seaside Training Chris, Music and Weapon. She's a really cute girl. So what she does is, she's a level 1 Suicider, and she has a pretty nifty secondary ability. When the damage of this card is cancelled, you can pay 1. If you do, choose 1 character in your waiting room, add it to your hand, then discard a card. So Seaside Training Chris, like I said many times in the past, if the card is a level 1 assist, that's automatically playable. This Chris, no exception. The fact that she's a level 1 Suicider, extremely playable, and she has a pretty nifty first ability as well. When her damage is cancelled, pay 1, salvage, and then discard. So it can be a decent hand fix. And if you trigger a climax and they cancel the damage, like let's say you trigger a 2 soul climax, you trigger 2 souls, so you're attacking for 3 damage, pretty decent chance they'll cancel it, and if they cancel it, you can pay out that climax immediately, and then you could salvage and then discard a card. So a pretty nifty first ability with an excellent secondary ability and a very fine and nice looking art. Overall, Chris has my seal of approval and definitely a very playable and good card. Next up, 00500R, Resurrected Gear Maria, Music and Weapon. 500 global for music characters, and has a great secondary ability of when your other music characters are reversed in battle, choose one of your characters and give plus 500 power until the end of the turn. So exactly like the level 0 Yuripe from Angel Beats. However, Yuripe is 1500 power, that I will never understand until the end of time. So, but this one, and that Yuripe is really good. Definitely the best level 0 assist in Angel Beats. This Maria should be no exception. Exact same ability, just 500 power though, but no big deal. She's a back row character. So 500 global on reverse, give an extra 500. Very good. The secondary ability might make your opponent, if they don't attack in the proper order, they might not reverse one of your other characters, or there might just be situations where they can't reverse all your characters successfully because of this Maria. And if you have like multiple Marias on the field, it can get really annoying for your opponent to deal with. So overall, a very excellent level 0 assist. Some really good cards for red this week or today. The Chris, the Maria, and next up this girl, or this card, 2125R, Fear of Loss Chris, Music and Weapon. So first of all, it's a 2/5 backup. And once again, another anti-change backup. I'm sure you guys could have guessed by now. When you use this backup, you can pay cost, which is pay 2, kill one of your characters. If you do, choose one of your opponent's character with higher, or it's anti-change. What am I talking about? So, anti-change, exact same cost as Nisekoi's. Pay 2, kill one of your characters, and then anti-change. Really good. Killing your character off, it sounds like a bad idea, but sometimes it's not. Or with the because you can kill one of your own characters for cost, you can dodge on reverse abilities like Tachibana, Clock Shoot. So, really good. I've used it a couple times in my Nisekoi decks. Very clutch in some situations, and sometimes your opponent just can't play around it because, you know, they can't really do a thing about it. So the ability to dodge on reverse abilities and an anti-change backup, excellent addition. Definitely highly recommend running 1 or 2 of these in all your Symphogear builds. Lastly, 004K are Seaside Training Tsubasa, even though she's not even training. Um, when this card is played from hand to stage, mill 2. If there's any climaxes amongst those, place this card to rest. Once again, we've seen cards like this time and time again, and they're pretty good. This one, no exception. Early stages of the game, she's a 4K beater. Early stages of the game, you're probably not going to mill a climax. So early stage, 4K beater. Mid to late game, acts as a free brainstorm and still has an okay amount of power. So fairly solid card. Definitely a good addition to blue, and a very good blue beater. And finally, on to the last day. Of course, the cool stuff. So 3295 Young Lion Princess Leo, Animal and Royalty. Fairly interesting card. So for every animal or hero character you control, she gets plus 500 power. On play, you can pay cost. If you do, you can pay cost, which is 2. If you do, choose one character from your clock and return it to your hand. Then clock yourself 1 damage. And lastly, when it's played from hand to stage, when this card reverses its opponent in battle, you can pay cost, which is 1. If you do, place that character to its owner's clock. So clock kick. Leo, I think is fairly interesting. Her first ability allows her to hit pretty decent power with a full field before assist. She can be 3-2-11-5, which is fairly solid. I kind of wish it was like Animal and Royalty, because we've seen like green Royalty cards, but still, her synergizing with Animal and Royalty should be easy enough. So full field, 3-2-11-5. Her secondary ability, I'm not too big of a fan of, because on play you pay 2, and then you choose a character in your clock and you return it to your hand, and then you clock yourself 1 damage. You have to choose a character. If it was like any card, I think it'd be a little better. That way you can grab like events and climaxes, so if you want to like climax combo. But you can only choose characters. That's kind of a bummer. So I think that kind of kills it for me. The fact that you only grab characters, and the fact that it's pay 2. It's kind of it makes sense that it's pay 2, but it's pretty stock intensive, because you have to pay 2 for Leo, and then if you want to use the on play ability, then you have to pay an extra 2, and then you have to pay 1 to clock kick. The 1 is no big deal, because of course the 1 that you have to pay is gonna be the 1 stock you gain from Leo's attack. But still, I think it's a little expensive, and you can only grab characters in your clock. Only characters, and of course when you clock yourself 1 damage, when you grab something you might clock like a climax. So I think that's also another bummer. So I'm not really a fan of this on-play ability. I think this is the first time we've seen this on-play ability. I can't really think of another card with this on-play ability. And to be honest, I'm not really impressed, or I'm not really a fan. Like, why not grab any card in your clock? Like, it's level 3, it's 2 stock. Just make it so you can grab like a climax or an event, just give us every option, not just a character. Kind of a bummer. I guess with Dog Days, I guess grabbing something from your clock is a little better, because they have like better clock manipulation with shift, and the weird clock encore where you choose a character and put it to the bottom of your clock. So they have more way to control the clock. But like I said, I just wish you could grab anything. And lastly, it's a clock kicker. I'm not a big fan of her secondary ability, but definitely Leo is already extremely playable because she is a clock kicker and she sits at 11-5 most of the time. So a very solid card. Just the fact that she clock kicks makes her very playable, very solid. If you're running green, you could consider running 2 to 3 or 4 of these Leos, or 1 to 4 of these Leos, because clock kicking is always really good, especially with Charlotte running around nowadays. Clock kicking can be a really good way to stop them in their tracks. So overall, very playable and very sexy art. And we've seen some pretty good cards for green already. We saw the Runner, the 1-1 that synergizes with the Runner. We've seen the 1-0 that combos with the Gold Bar. I mean, some fairly solid green cards right off the bat, and this level 3 green. So green is totally playable, so I think it's a totally playable card as well. So excellent, excellent addition. And this art is just too sexy. Anyways, let's go on to this guy, 2175R, Belligerent Garu, Animal, and Royalty, of course. So when you have the level 3 in your clock, this card loses 1 level in your hand, has a climax combo with Duel at the Sky Sea. When it attacks with the stock 1 soul, choose one of your characters, it gets plus 1500 power, and the following ability of during the battle of this card, your opponent cannot play backup from their hands. Garu he's okay. So if you have young Lion Princess Leo in your clock, he loses one level. Shouldn't be too hard because Leo is really good, and if you're running many Leos and having one in your clock at level 1, it's no big deal. So he can totally come out at level 1. His climax combo is okay. You choose one of your other characters, which is kind of a bummer. Choosing Leo or choosing Gato himself isn't a bad idea because he's a 1175 essentially. So I wish he could give it to himself, but he can only give it to other characters. But when you do this backup, your opponent cannot play backup from their hands. And to be honest, I don't really like this. Personally, I'm not a fan of like 2-1s that come out at level 1 because it's pretty good at level 1 because it's a 2175, but then at level 2 it's a really underwhelming card because it's a 2175, so you're kind of sacrificing your mid to late game for a better early game, and I think the late game is really important. So I'm not really a fan of these cards. I don't think Gada is an exception. I think it's kind of I don't think it's really strong. I don't think he's a really strong card. I don't think he's a good card. And I don't think his climax combo is good enough. Like if you're running green, I think you should be running 4 of the gold bar combo. But if you're running green, you might as well run it with like green yellow or something. If you're running like green yellow, I think green yellow could be a pretty strong combination. Then you could be running like the 4 wind triggers and 4 gold bars. I think that's a better climax lineup. So I think like the gold bar combo is already really good for green. Do you really need 2 climax combos at level 1? Not really. I mean, yeah, you can use this climax combo at any stage of the game, level 2 and level 3. You can deny your opponent backups, which can be really clutch in some situations. But still, I think there's better climax combos you could be running and better level 1 options that you could be running. So overall, it's playable, but not my cup of tea. And lastly, the better level 3 that I think can come out at level 2 compared to these girls is 3-2 11k double R. This isn't merely a sword, Tsubasa, music, and weapon. So I think this card is fairly good. Once again, she's 11k, so keep that in mind. So her first ability is when you have 2 or more, this isn't merely a sword, Tsubasa, in your waiting room. This card loses 1 level in your hand. During the start of your opponent's draw phase, when this card's on your center stage, choose one of your characters, gets plus 4k power. And then recollection, if you don't have, at the beginning of your encore step, if you do not have Ignite module in your memory, place this card to waiting room. So exactly like Hibiki. So I believe this is the idea behind the new Symphogear. You must have an Ignite module in your memory for the level 3s to stick around. And I guess for fairly good reasons, because they're oversized, but I would have preferred them being 3-2 10k and not having this ability. But, like I said, they're trying to keep the theme. Anyways, Tsubasa, I think she's fairly good. So if you're running this Tsubasa, you should probably be running 4 Tsubasas because you need to have multiple Tsubasas in your waiting room for her to become live at level 2. Shouldn't be too hard having multiple Tsubasas in your waiting room at once. All you have to do is like clock your Tsubasas, and then like if you draw into your Tsubasas early, just clock them. They'll go to the waiting room when you level up, and then at level 2 you should have 2 or more. You should at least have 2 or more Tsubasas in your waiting room, and then you can play her at level 2. So not too hard to accomplish. Pretty good, or this ability where at the start of your opponent's draw phase, give a character plus 4k. Really solid. You can give it to another character and make it difficult for your opponent to reverse 2 characters, one being Tsubasa herself and another character. So that can be really good. And Tsubasa is 11k, so if you give it to Tsubasa herself, she's 15k before assist. And at level 2, ain't nobody getting over Tsubasa. And Tsubasa herself is like 11k base. So if you have like a level assist in the back and let's say a 500 global, she'll be 3-2 13k. So that's pretty ridiculous. So you might as well give it to like a level 1 character, and that way it's really hard for your opponent to kill 2 of your characters. So the fact that Tsubasa is 3-2 11k makes her secondary ability a little more flexible because you can give it to another character instead of giving it to Tsubasa herself because she is 11k normally. And of course, you can play 2 Tsubasas at level 2 because you only need 2 in your waiting room. So you can have 2 in your waiting room, play the 2 Tsubasas from your hand, and then it can be really difficult for your opponent to deal with. But that is a lot of stock. But if your opponent can't ever kill them, then that's really good. Of course, they're still susceptible to anti-change and bounce, but every level 3 is. Well, most level 3s are, so you can't really do a thing about it. So overall, I think Tsubasa is a really good early drop level 3 that could come out at level 2. I just think she's really good. 11k and can make your field really hard to deal with. Unlike like Kirika, who's only 9k and you need to use it with Shirabe. Like I rather have two Tsubasas in the front row than have one Kirika in the front and one Shirabe in the back. You know what I mean? I'd rather have something like this. So overall, I think Tsubasa is a fairly solid card. Double R worthy, I think, and really good. I think I'm going to assume that she's going to be the new early drop level 3 at level 2. And I do believe blue already has some pretty solid colors or some pretty solid cards, so you're not going out of your way to run blue in your decks. So blue looking pretty good, and Tsubasa pretty good as well. However, the blue Ignite module, I really don't understand why it's so bad. It's a 1/1 uncommon. Counter, if you do not control any music character, you're gonna have to play this from your hand. It's a 2/5 backup. And it goes to memory. Why? Why is it a 2/5 backup? Why couldn't it be 3k? The one in Nisekoi is 3k. So why is this one 2/5? I really don't understand that. When I saw this, I'm not planning to buy Symphogear, but this kind of irks me. Like, really? Like, why couldn't it just be 3k? Like, the one in Nisekoi is 3k, so there should be no reason why this is not a 3k backup as well. That kind of irked me. But I think this is a fairly weak event. I think this is a fairly weak Ignite module. I think the yellow one is way better. Like, to be honest, I'm not a fan of the 3k event backup in Nisekoi. And to be honest, a lot of builds in Japan don't run the 3k Pendant of Promise event backup in Nisekoi. Just because, I'm not gonna go into it, but I don't think the 1/1 event. I don't think the 1/1 blue Pendant of Promise is good in Nisekoi. So, because a lot of players choose not to run the 1/1 blue Pendant of Promise, there would have been no problem if this Ignite module was a 3k backup, and most players probably wouldn't run it just like the Nisekoi one. But the fact that this is only a 2/5 backup, it's like there's no way anyone's gonna play this. If no one played the better version of this card in Nisekoi, no one's gonna play the shittier version of this card in Symphogear, So it kind of kills like that idea of blue Ignite module in Symphogear. Like, if this was a 3k backup, maybe people will be running it. But this is only 2/5. Like, what the fuck? It's just kind of it really bugs me, but it doesn't really affect me because I'm not gonna play Symphogear. But just really bugs me. I don't recommend this I don't recommend this Ignite module. I think the yellow one's already fairly good. And next week we'll see the red one, which is also fairly good as well. So, kind of a bummer, but what can you do? And that is all for this video. Another 1-hour video. I really shouldn't be expecting anything else, but oh well. Overall, only 4 days. However, still 1 hour. But like I said, for this week for Symphogear, they showed a ton of good cards. I shouldn't say good. I should say a ton of cards that will, how do I say? A ton of cards that will set the playstyle for this set. Yes, I think I'll say it like that. But overall, I guess we'll do like a little recap. 1-0 Hero King Adele, Hero Princess Adele. I don't know anymore. 1-0 Adele. I think it's fairly solid, but I don't think there will be enough. Like, I don't think players will choose to run it just for various reasons. I really don't like this. It's kind of a bummer that I don't like both the green double R's. But what can you do? I personally don't like it, but hopefully I'm wrong, and if it turns out to be good, or if it turns out to be good, that's really good, because I'd rather see good cards than bad cards, even though I don't plan to buy the set. So overall, not my cup of tea. I personally don't like it, but I could be wrong. I hope I am. Isuka, not my cup of tea again, but he's not unplayable, so if you're running the Reminiscence feed, you can run 1 or 2. Hina, excellent card. Hibiki, fairly good card. Running the Ignite module, you should definitely be choosing Hibiki as your healer of choice. Really good abilities. Fi, solid card. Adele, I think it's interesting as only common, so you can't complain, in my opinion. Anti-change, good. Reminiscence Fi, very good. I think this card is really good. Valeri, sorry, bro. I think there's better options than you. Seaside Training, fairly solid. Chris, 1-0 Suicider with hand fixing ability, can't go wrong. Very similar to the Tachibana in Nisekoi. so more similarities to Nisekoi. Maria, really good level 0 assist. Just like Chitoge, Chitoge is really good. Chris should be no exception. Tsubasa, really good early game, really good late game. Leo, clock kicking, that alone is good, and the art is quite sexy. Not a fan of Garu. And it's a dude, we don't like dudes. Tsubasa, I think it's pretty good. Definitely approve of this card. I definitely don't approve of Ignite module. I'm still a little mad, but what can you do? And that is all for this week, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. So far, like I said, I think it's a really good week, but I've said that plenty of times now. So I'll just end this video at that. I kept you guys here long enough. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like always, leave your question or comments in the comment section below. And until next time, guys.